Hello. All right. Good afternoon. First of all, a disclaimer. I slept very badly, and I'm at maybe 70% mental capacity, so excuse me if I forget some words and can't answer questions very quickly and stuff like that. Okay, this is the name of my talk, but I thought I was inspired by Pat to have a talk overview. So I'm going to make the argument that model predictive control and model-based methods in general require exactly three things to work well. You need tooling, tooling, and tooling. And after I make that argument, I'll also add that MuJoCo and MJPC are such tools. MJPC was made for you guys. And if you use it, we'll support you. And then I'll show you some videos, maybe some live demos. And I hope to do a tutorial during the coffee break. See how we go. All right. So, model predictive and model-based methods need a simulator. MuJoCo is a simulator that was made for model-based control. It's in the name of the 2012 paper. MuJoCo was created by Emma with a little bit of help from Tom and me in 2022. DeepMind acquired and open sourced MuJoCo. I'll talk about that a little bit. It has all the things that you need for model-based control. There's this old video, like we could do this in 2012 with, let's move forward to this cute guy. Everybody loves this guy, right? This is like the unicycle guys. This is on a laptop in 2012. So the biggest problem, I think, with all model-based methods is that they're difficult to understand and reproduce, right? Why does everybody doing RL, right? Because you can write PPO in like 4 lines of Python code, and you hit enter, and and then it takes a day, but you come back a day later, and there's a nice video, and like, oh. But all of the model-based methods, look at all the talks that we heard today. This person is doing that, this person is doing that. There's so many hyperparameters that the conceptual search space of what is possible to do is just immense. And that's a problem. It's too scary. People don't know how to do it, things don't work, and then they give up. Enter MuJoCo. MuJoCo, since, I don't know, a couple of years ago, is permissively open sourced. It is actively developed. It is actively supported by DeepMind. It runs on everything. It runs on x86. It runs on ARM. We now have a branch that runs on GPUs and TPUs. When I gave this talk 3 months ago, we had 6,500 stars on GitHub. Now we have 7.3. We add powerful features frequently. Check out this I love this thing. We have this fluid force model that's just gorgeous. You can do, if you want to do like ornithopters. Oh, this never works with like slides. How do I now get into the slideshow mode? Okay, I won't do that again. We've got a library of robot models called the MuJoCo Menagerie, which will get better soon after we release our system ID stack, which is an important thing that people just don't know how to do. And we are very happy to teach you how to do that. Next, how do I go? Here we go. MuJoCo is fast, doing this like our traditional humanoid having an epileptic fit on the floor, which is important so that warm starts don't help you too much. We can get like 3,500 times faster than real time on a TPU. Or just on a multi-core CPU, you can get 9,000 times faster than real time. That's fast. All sorts of little important things that make it well designed for control. Inverse dynamics are analytical in the presence of contacts, which might sound like a contradiction, but it isn't. It's technically differentiable. We don't have the derivatives anyway, but you don't want automatic differentiation. I'll talk about that later. The important thing is smoothness, not the differentiability. And importantly, for what I'm going to talk about today, there's an interactive visualization, a native rendering in UI, so you can easily write apps around it. And I'm going to talk about one of those. This one is called MuJoCo. It was written by a very talented man called Taylor Howell. He did it in 3 months. He knew simulation, but he didn't really know MuJoCo very well. The main features of MuJoCo, which I'm going to emphasize, first is that the simulation and planning are fully asynchronous. People don't appreciate how important that is. So if you slow down the simulation, the planner is effectively faster. So you don't need a fast computer to design the stuff. The most important thing is that all the knobs are exposed in the GUI. Think about something like Photoshop or Maya or any kind of professional software. How many hyperparameters are there in Photoshop? How many knobs do you have? I don't know if it's hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands. It's a lot. How do people know how to fiddle all of these hyperparameters? The answer is that Photoshop works in the human brain timescale. You click a button, something happens. You move a slider, something happens. And that's how human brains work. So the answer is to fit predictive control tooling to the human researcher. And that's what we're trying to do. MuJoCo, like MuJoCo itself, is completely open source. And if you come here later during the coffee break, we will install it on your laptop. And it will run. It's the most basic of MuJoCo problem setups: discrete time dynamics, running cost, finite horizon objective. You have a nominal plan. You execute the beginning of that plan, not the first step of that plan. This is asynchronous. You execute as much time as it takes to get the new plan. With feedback, without feedback, depends on what kind of plan you have. We only have shooting methods right now, but nothing prevents us from adding, like we would love people to contribute, what are they called now? Direct, simultaneous methods? Non-shooting, which one, direct or simultaneous? Simultaneous, okay. So the argument has been won by, what's his name, German guy, never mind. The task structure is very simple. It's a sum of weighted norms of residuals. Why this task structure? Finite differencing. Finite differencing is beautiful because if you write your residuals, these guys, the R's, you write them as MuJoCo sensors. Finite differencing scales like the inputs, not like the outputs. So you can append whatever you want to the end. You've got next step, next state, and then you append whatever you want. And then the finite differencing will just for free give you the Jacobian of those residuals. Okay, and then with the Jacobians of those residuals, you can get Gauss-Newton Hessians. Well, obviously you can get gradients, but you can get Gauss-Newton Hessians, so you can do things like ILQR. So at no extra cost, you don't need to write a differentiable cost function. We do everything for you. You just write the residual function, done. It's super easy. It looks like this. This is how you write a cart pole. I mean, maybe the semantics, I don't know if we want to get into this, but it's basically these 4 lines of C code, right? You want it to remain vertical, so you wanted this to be 0, you want it to be centered at a thing that you can tweak. You'll see this in a second. That's what this parameter 0 is. You want a velocity and control, right? So, this looks like this. I turn on the planner, it thinks for a little bit, and it figures out, oh, I can swing up, and then it swings up, and we're done. And now you see I can move that's that parameter 0. I can just move that. I can turn off the weights. Now it doesn't know anything except minimizing the control. I can move the goal, nothing happens. I turn on centered, I turn on vertical, up, it swings back up. So with this kind of tool, you can really understand what's going on. And this is the right way to do predictive control. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care that much if you use MuJoCo. I would love it if you use MuJoCo. But even if you don't use MuJoCo, you have to make it interactive. You have to bring it to the timescales of your own human brain, or you will not understand what's going on. So I don't need to show you this. You guys all know all this. We've got ILQG. We've got gradient descent just for fun. Which obviously doesn't work as well. And we've got this really stupid thing called predictive sampling, which is shockingly stupid and shockingly good. But first I want to show you the asynchronous bit. So here you're going to see this little quadruped. This is the real-time screen capture. It's trying to go up a cliff. You see I'm slowing down the simulation. By slowing down the simulation, the planner has more time to think. It can figure out how to get over the thing. So you don't need a fast computer for this as long as you can slow down the simulation a little bit. That's what you get from the asynchrony. It's very powerful. So in the sampling method, we use these splines as a representation. So this is just to make, instead of searching over a sequence of actions, we search over a sequence of spline points. We have 0 order and 0 order. You know, we have these like 0 order holds splines. And we have proper cubic splines, but what we end up using is just basically piecewise linear. It just makes the search space smaller, which is, you know, an obvious thing to do. And now let me show you, so this is the video from end of 2022. And after this, I'll show you what's happened more recently. So let me narrate this. Here at okay, so we're changing the speed goal. It starts walking forward. I can visualize, this is using the sampling planner. So you see the purple guy is the nominal, the white guys are all the other samples. I can reset, turn off the traces, and now I'm going to make it walk and perturb it. So I can kind of like pull on it. Everything is completely interactive. I can change the height goal, and it does this kind of funny walk. Here, you know, this is ILQG. So this is really interesting and valuable. Here you can see the future planned actions and the past actually taken actions. You see this? We have these, like, it's very easy to define these switches. So you see whenever it reaches the target goes away. Humanoid. All right, this should all be pretty familiar. And it gets up. Anyway, this I want to show you live on my laptop later, so I'm not going to actually waste time showing it to you. I'm going to skip ahead to here. This is probably the task that we most impressed ourselves that we could do, in particular with the stupid sampling, which I'm going to explain in a minute. But you see, this is like we're solving this in-hand reorientation task with like nothing, with just rolling out noisy trajectories and picking the best one. It's really surprising that this works. And I'm going to talk a little bit about why this. Okay, so what is this predictive sampling? We gave it a fancy method. It's literally the simplest possible planner that you can imagine. I dare you to imagine a simpler planner, other than like doing nothing. You've got a nominal plan, parameterize it any way you want, pi of theta. Make n rollouts, one of the nominal, and of n minus 1 samples around the nominal, sample some with some fixed noise, whatever this letter is, xi, around the theta. Pick the best one, that's the new nominal. This is the algorithm. That's it. How stupid is this? It's ridiculous. It's not an algorithm, it's a baseline. It's the worst you could possibly do. And yet, we're having a hard time doing better than it in certain situations, which is really strange. I'm going to show you some crazy things that we do with this in a bit. So how can this compete with like ILQG, right? ILQG does, you know, almost Newton steps, goes very fancy, line search, derivatives. How can this compete? Well, there's two answers. There's the wrong answer and there's the right answer. The wrong answer is that it's very fast. This is not the answer. But it is much faster, right? So in a single step of ILQG, you need to get the derivatives. Even if you parallelize, which we do, you need the rollouts, you need the backpass, you need the line search. Sampling, you just do rollouts. So it's faster. But that's not a good enough reason. Like this should not be competitive at all. The real answer, I think, is a lot more subtle and a lot more interesting. The answer is that predictive control is not optimization. Who was it before? I think everybody here showed like convergence plots, right? How well does my algorithm converge? Ooh, I get quadratic convergence, I get linear convergence. It doesn't matter. In optimization, what you're trying to do is find the minimum, right? That's the definition of optimization. So you can evaluate different algorithms by how well they find the minimum. When you're doing predictive control, finding the minimum is irrelevant. By the time you did a single step of whatever your planner is doing, time has moved on, right? The robot's in a different place now. New sensor measurements have come in. I need to go to my estimator, find out what happened. Everything is approximate. The requirement is to stay in the basin of attraction. That's all that predictive control is trying to do, and that's a much weaker requirement. All I need to do is stay on the right side of this wave. So the right metaphor is not mountain climbing, it's surfing. You just need to stay on the right side of the wave and you'll do the right thing. And this is a very subtle and interesting, I think pretty philosophical point. We're not doing optimization, we're doing something else. We're doing partial optimization. We're doing a little bit of optimization. And I think that's a very interesting, we can talk about that later. All right, let's get to the cool video. So let me quickly get through all these slides with the text. So what can you do with MJPC? You can do task design. It's very fun to do task design with this thing. You write a few lines of code. It's very easy to define your sliders and your buttons and your knobs. You'll see some cool stuff in a second. You can use it for data generation if that's your thing. If you want to do distillation into a neural network, this is great for that. For you guys, predictive control research, it's a platform. It's not just a tool, it's a platform. Come add your thing. We accept pull requests. If you add a test, we will not break your code. This is a proper open source project. And of course, it's just an example. You can do something completely different, but we really would like this to be collaborative. This is just talking generally about the myopicity of predictive control. You can learn a policy, you can terminate with the value function, you can do some kind of hierarchical thing. I don't need to explain this to you people. There's all sorts of interesting things that you can do to combine model predictive control with other stuff. So in summary, MJPC is an open source interactive tool for predictive control using MuJoCo, which is also open source. And importantly, it lowers the barrier to entry. I would like to prove this by installing it live on any reasonably powered non-Windows laptop. MuJoCo runs on Windows, but we couldn't, it was too much hassle to get the Windows integration tests for MJPC running. So if you've got Windows, get a new laptop. And I think predictive sampling is interesting. It's even if you only use it as a lower bound, use it as a lower bound, because it's so trivial to do. Why would you not do this? It's literally 4 lines of code, I kid you not. All right, so let me tell you what happened. Well, let me show you what happened in 2023, then we'll get to some 2024. So this workshop is nominally about quadrupeds. So everything that you see here is I think 100 lines of code, the entire task. So you can see some things are switching. I'll show you this live. Everything here is live screen capture. Look at this cute backflip. Wooba! Huh? And we also have a front flip. Once you have the back flip, the front flip. Actually, the front flip is easier because of the way the legs are shaped. What do we do now? Biped mode, very easy. By the way, I don't know if like all of the people talking here about contact switching. No contact switching, we just differentiate through the contacts, it just works, no problem. So this is all using ILQG, if I wasn't clear. You can tell it's ILQG by the beautiful convergence over here. So that's why everything is sort of smooth. It would still work with sampling, it'll just be a bit jittery. But sometimes you don't need the kind of the smooth, dancey motions. This is nice. So this is basically a bunch of gates. The gates are not programmed in. The only thing that's programmed per gate is like the duty cycle, you know, like the which foot does what, and then everything else like is just emerges. I can show you later in the code. It's very, very easy. And there's this kind of velocity-based. So here I'm just slowing down so you can see better. But I speed it up, and now it'll switch to. Is this still trot? Oh, it's canter switching to gallop. It's just like, it's very cute. I think it's cute. I'll just show you this live in a few minutes. Did I do this? I did this next. Okay, this was a contribution. Guy from Helsinki. These are videos from his M2 MacBook Air. So he took some motion capture data, and this is, so the red dots is the mocap data, and the humanoid is tracking them. This is at a quarter real time. But look at these behaviors, hey? Like this is not easy, this is not walking, repeating motions. This is not hard for him to do. What else do I have here? I just did this. Look at this. So this is very far from real time because this model, this is a muscle actuated dog model. It has a zillion DOFs and like 100 and something actuators, and all of the actuators are stateful. This is like a proper muscle model. So I think this runs at like maybe 2% real time. But that's the beauty. It doesn't matter how complicated your task is, or slow your laptop is or computer. You just slow down the simulation. The planner has more time to figure it out. It just works. Royal Veterinary College. Come on. Next. How do I move? So this is from, I think, the end of last year. Check this out. Solving a Rubik's Cube in real time on a single machine. I think OpenAI needed to like burn a few forests to do this 5 years ago. I can do this in real time on your local laptop. So this is not, to be clear, this is not solve the Rubik's Cube as in figure out what to do. This is just unscramble. You can see here, you see the jumps in the cost. So every time it does the correct thing, you see what I'm saying. It's basically unscramble. It's undo the sequence of moves. But hey, it does it. What do you know? And this is with sampling. This is with that silly algorithm I described to you before. It's just crazy that it works. Next. Okay, 2024, what do I have for you? So MJXPC. So MJX is our accelerator branch. So this is like, it's not interactive. You need the C++ to be interactive. You know, all of these like highly parallel frameworks are not really good for interactive simulation, but it still takes it 10 seconds to compute. So this is like some kind of pancake flip. Takes about the same time as it does to play the video. It takes to solve it. And this is with like batches of like 4,000 parallel rollouts, which is a lot more than we use on the CPU. So for some tasks, you want these wide batches. For some tasks, you don't. This whole thing, it's like a collab of 50 lines of code. I think it's already on the repo. You can just run it. I think it's all open source now. And something from like a couple of weeks ago. So this is again sampling, but now doing bimanual manipulation. So here the task is just get the red box to that pink target, but the target always moves to a point where only one hand can reach it, and there's always the other hand. So they need to hand off the object, and this just emerges. Like there's nothing in the cost says, oh, give it over to the other guy. I mean, I can show you the cost later. Again, it's like 30 lines of C code. So here I'm just zooming in, doing a tracking camera. You'll soon see what's like, so now it kind of, you see it's going to drop it. So it's a bad grasp. So it needs to do a regrasp, but how do you do a regrasp? That's how you do a regrasp. You see that? So all of these things just emerge. And now, look at this. Mid-air insertion of an actual, like this is some kind of connector used for something. And every time you get the insertion, boop, it disappears and you need to do it again. And you'll see sometimes it gets it, sometimes it doesn't get it, but it keeps trying. It'll just keep trying until it gets it. Because you really need to grasp it in the right way, or it's just impossible to do with these, pretty bad parallel gripper thingies. These Alohas, these are very cheap, almost off-the-shelf robots. And we did model it. Oh, can it get it? Can it get it? No, it's going to drop it. You can always tell when it's going to drop it because it moves away like it's sometimes, oh, nice. Sometimes it can actually prevent dropping it by like holding it up and opening, like it uses gravity to do the regrasp. So you can kind of tell when it's about to drop it by that thing. Oh, now this guy drops it. So it's just going to keep trying until it succeeds. Let's see, how much longer? Okay, we've got another 40 seconds. Is this the last? Okay, let's just wait. It's so much fun to look at this, right? Like I say, I can do this on your laptop now. To be clear, this video is sped up. So this run, you need to slow it down to 20% real time on my desktop. And then the video is sped up, I think it's sped up to 50% real time. Because that's kind of what you like to look at. You don't really want to look at real time, that's too fast. Okay, last one. How much longer do we have? Okay, 10 seconds. Let's see. 3, 2, 1. And click. How nice is that? All right. Nah, we can skip this. This is not so interesting. You can hook it up to a language model. Yada, yada, language models. We have an estimator. This estimator is great. Look at this. So the ground truth is this red box. The red spheres here, that's the data. So that's the quote-unquote noisy mocap data. This is my initial guess of what the cube did, and this is what my estimator, so this is like what you'd call a smoother. So it estimates the entire trajectory, but this is just to show you that we can do estimation with contact because we can do inverse dynamics with contact. So it really does find the most likely trajectory. We did not make good use of this because where I work, people don't understand what an estimator is, but we wrote it anyway. Some people understand, but it's not the... okay, and now we got to the demo. How much time? What time is it? Where are we time-wise? Beautiful. So I think we can... Let's do questions, and then we'll do the demo. Shoot. Talk to me. Thank you. Yes.
Hi. Yeah, I'm impressed with the zero order hold and how much it can find stuff. And maybe that's the source of my question. I can understand how it would ride the wave, as you call it, but I don't understand how it can see so far into the future to do something useful, especially...
Well, you've got a horizon, right? What do you mean? It's all model predictive control. Here, why don't we, in fact, instead of just talking, let me just run it. Look, by the way, I installed this like 20 minutes ago. I never know how to do pulls like GitHub pulls. It doesn't work for me on VS Code. I always install it from scratch. It takes 4 minutes. All right, here we go. Oh, turn the mouse on. There we go. You guys can see this? Do you need bigger text? Let me give you some bigger text. Where is that? Did I miss it? Isn't it? Here we go. Is that better? All right. Yeah, so this guy, this is the task I showed you before. The horizon is 350 milliseconds. Here, let's turn the planner on. Ta-da! Now I can, here, so the task is to stay with this thing. So now I move it around. I can pull on it. He'll come back. People like disturbance rejection. How's that for disturbance rejection? And yeah, that's the horizon. Here, let me show you 9. So, okay, so to be fair, this is ILQG. So now you can see that I have a single nominal. You see, that's the ILQG nominal that you see, that pink thing. Now let's do sampling. Okay, so now it's a lot noisier. Okay, the cost needs to be tuned for the planner. Let's do a different task that I know works well. Let's do the humanoid stand. All right, this guy works great with sampling. Is it on sampling? Yes. There you go. So now, if I pull on his head, you'll see the plans. You see? So you can see, what is it? Again, 350 milliseconds into the future. You want longer? Okay, he'll figure it out. Don't worry. You want to look shorter or longer? All right, here's longer. Here's 600 milliseconds into the future. Let's do short. Let's do 160. By the way, I'm running on battery here. So, we need a tracking camera here. This guy's getting away from us. Okay. So you see, with 160 milliseconds, it's hard. You can get up, but you can't stay up. You need that's probably a bit too much. Around half a second, that's nice.
All right, sounds like the answer is longer horizon. And just a quick follow-up, has the RL community tried this approach? Are you aware, or did you play with
Tried
this,
what?
This predictive sampling for them rolling out their use?
Well, there's a bunch of ways to, there's no learning here, right? This is all happening in real time. So you can do a bunch of things. You can kind of do what I would call AlphaGo for control, and that's combine a planner. What's AlphaGo? You remember AlphaGo? You combine a planner, terminate with a value function, and learn a policy all at the same time. I don't know anybody that's done that. I'm still waiting for somebody to do that. You would think we would do that. I'm having a hard time convincing people. The other thing you could do is just generate a shit ton of data and distill it. Yeah. And then when you generate the data, you can do it with model variations, et cetera, and then the sim to real will actually work. Or if you're crazy like the people in this room, you can hook it up to an estimator and have it run in real time on the robot. But that's a bit crazy.
All right, thanks, man.
That's only for people here.
Thank you for the presentation and for the live demo.
Sure.
So I would like to open a request at this point, because I'm using Brax, as I was telling you, but still I don't have this nice feature that I can see the simulation while doing things. Okay, so I have to do the video, the GIF after everything.
That's not a request for me. That's a request for the JAX team, for the Warp team, for all of these accelerator, these frameworks that take nice code, usually Python. I don't know why people think Python is nice, but that seems to be the consensus.
Okay.
And compile it down to something actually fast. They're not meant, but also if you think about how these accelerators work, it's very, very difficult to, because it's also doing the rendering. Like, the reason I can do this is that my GPU is free. If my GPU was also doing the planning, and now you wanted to do the rendering, come on. So yeah, that's like a basic issue with the whole notion of an accelerator, right? You need to give it the data and crunches the data, it gives you back the data. It's not, for this you need CPU.
I will try to open still the issue.
Okay.
Grazie.
Yeah.
Hey, Yuval, great talk. Two questions. One, the contact model relaxation, since you said it's differentiable, smooth, you're relaxing it a bit. Is it the same relaxation used for both the MPC and the simulator, or are you using a different one?
Great question. So first of all, it's not really a relaxation. MuJoCo's contact model can be made smooth, but by default, I don't want to go into the specific parameterization. The default parameterization actually isn't smooth. There is a discontinuity. We just ignore it, finite difference to it anyway, and everything just works. We tried to, make it properly smooth. There's no difference between the properly smooth and the non-properly smooth. They both just work. But the discrepancy between the simulated model and the planning model is critical. So one of the reasons that this thing works, looks so nice, is that, let me show you. Where is it? Probably in agent. The time step of the planner is 15 milliseconds, big. The time step of the simulator that you're looking at is 2 milliseconds, small. So the planner actually imagines that everything, and when you make the time step bigger, everything becomes softer. So the model that the planner is using is necessarily softer because the time step is bigger. There's like a lower bound on how hard you can make the contact. That said, remember those videos that I showed you with the bimanual insertion? Mm-hmm. The reason I had to take it down to 20% is that for manipulation, you can no longer tolerate this discrepancy. The planning model and the simulation model have to be the same because any sort of difference in the contact is critical. So there, I think they are both using 5 milliseconds, 5 or less. I don't remember if it's 5 or 4. But of course, I make it as big as possible so I can still use it in semi-interactive rate, but I can no longer have this huge discrepancy.
And the second question is, what is preventing you from running this on real hardware?
Nothing. It's the fact that Andrea Del Prete has not learned how to use this and has not hooked it up to his robot. That's the thing that's preventing me. Oh. Do it. It's there. The code is there. It's all open source. It's waiting to be hooked up to hardware. The reason I can't do it is that where I work, people like to first generate data and hook it up to a language model and tell the language model what to do and train the neural network. Nobody knows how to hook things up to hardware. I say estimator, people are like, what?
Okay, so you're missing the estimator.
If you do it, it will work.
Can talk about it. Thanks.
Yeah. All right, I'll keep, you guys go have coffee. I'm going to keep torturing this little humanoid or any other task. All the tasks that I showed you, they're all here. They're all part of the system. What do you want to see? Pick one. You want to see the Rubik's Cube? You want to see some quadrotors? Oh, let's do the bimanual handover, right? That was cute. Everybody loves this. Here. Ah, you mean OP3? No, that's all I have here, sorry. I have the Allegro hand. You make it. It's so easy. I'll show you.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, yeah.
I know you are sampling these motions, but I was wondering if the relaxation of the contact dynamic helps or matters.
For what? For the sampling?
Yeah, because you have sampling.
The sampling doesn't care.
It's all you need. You can have very hard, stiff contact.
Yeah, you can have it. The sampling doesn't care at all. Smooth, non-smooth, differentiable, non-differentiable. That's why this works. This will never work with ILQG because it's not just that the search is very non-local. That's another completely different problem. It's a very non-local right. You need to kind of discover, look at this. This guy's now completely stuck. I can help him or I can just wait and he will figure it out because it's sampling. Do you want me to help him? Let's help him. Come on, you look so sad. There you go. Oh, you see, he almost dropped it, and then he did gravity regrasp. It's so cute to watch all these things emerge. Yeah, so this will never work with ILQG. There's just too many, I generally don't believe in the notion of contact switching, at least for locomotion. because I don't think it's like a real thing. But here it's a real thing. Like in manipulation, especially with these grippers, like it really is this very complicated switching thing, and good luck differentiating to that. Oh, it's once again, so these guys they're not very good at getting out of these like kinematic, let's see if he can figure it out. If we wait long enough, he will figure it out. Oh, look. It's so easy to anthropomorphize these predictive controllers. I think, for me, at least emotionally, this is like a great piece of evidence that something similar is happening in human and animal brains. Because you look at it and it's like you can see it's really, there's a time limit. If it doesn't get it within 60 seconds, it resets, because the box can also fall off the table and then it's screwed, yeah? So if it doesn't do it in 60 seconds, come on, grab it, grab it. I can make it better just by slowing it down. So if I take it to 33%, the planner has more time, everything works better, but you need more patience.
How many samples do you take here?
I don't know. Let's look. It's all here in the GUI. 120. I can also do this, and you can kind of see the samples. Yeah, so now you can see the nominals and all the samples. So it's 120 samples, 4 spline points. You can kind of see them here. This is a new feature. Okay, this is not pure sampling. We added a new feature to predictive sampling. We sample from 2 distributions, one with STD of 0.1 and one with STD of 0.6. So it's like a, what do you call it? Exploitation and exploration. You know, so exploitation is the small STD. It's a mixture of 2 Gaussians, exactly centered, one like this and one like this. That's it. You know, so one is trying like crazy stuff, and one is trying just small changes. That's it. This is the new advancement we have in predictive sampling.
That's advanced.
It's very advanced. Yeah, but I'll just leave it like this until the battery runs out, huh? What do you think?
I have a skeptical question.
Yeah.
So why your MPC never gets unstable?
Unstable.
Because usually if the control horizon is too short and you choose your weightings not wisely and you don't have the...
No, of course it does. Of course it does. Especially because I have these big time steps, but you never see it because this happens in the planner. The planner is doing rollouts under the hood with a big time step, the biggest that I can do, that it almost never diverges, but sometimes it diverges. But that's okay.
Okay.
I know, I can see that it diverges. I throw away that trajectory, I ignore it. It's okay to diverge. As long as the sim doesn't diverge. The rollouts in the planner, if you're doing...
No, I mean the closed loop behavior.
You mean with the ILQG that I showed before with the quadruped?
No, but this is also closed loop, right?
It's some kind of closed loop, but yeah, why would it? This is a small time step. All it's doing is playing back, open loop control sequence, no feedback, no nothing. Why would it diverge? Small time step, open loop control. Look at this. How can this diverge? Look at the actions that it's performing. What would diverge here?
But you say it's open loop, it's feedback, right? It's MPC.
No, it's implicit feedback. I have an open loop trajectory, and it gets replaced every time, every planner. You can see it.
Okay, I see, understand.
Yeah, but it's just an open loop trajectory. There's no feedback in, it's not like ILQG. In ILQG, yes. Yeah, I can probably make ILQG do crazy stuff if I like kick it.
A quick question. So the model used by the planner is just directly from the simulation, right? From the simulator model.
Yes, with the difference that the time step is usually different. So that means the model is actually not the same model, yeah? Like different time step is different physics. And for this sort of task, it matters. Let's change to ILQG. I think maybe ILQG is more kind of the stuff that you guys are used to. Where is my quadruped? Here's my quadruped. Let's get this guy running. Oh, wait, wrong planner. Where is my planner? Task. Ah, wait, it's ILQG, so what's happening? Okay, this looks... Okay, I don't know. Maybe there's a bug. I'm going to kill it, start again, very easy. Let's try the quadruped again. Yeah. Okay. Let's make it just walk around in circles. That's always fun. So I do walk, and then I have this... let's do the gate switching. Let's do manual gate switching. I have a gate that I like. So look, I can now say trot. Let's say canter. Canter is nice. And then we want to track it with the tracking camera and speed, move. Maybe faster. Oh, we walked into the boat. Okay, there were some obstacles. And now let's turn a little bit. Maybe one run faster.
Can I ask something?
This is nice. Slow down. And now you can see you see this? This is the plan. You can see the ILQG nominal. This is very easy to do. You just specify a point anywhere in the physics, and you say, this is the thing that I want you to plot. And it gives you these beautiful lines showing you what it's planning, what it's thinking. So now let's change the horizon. Let's make it short. Oh, this turning is not good for the demo. Turn speed, where is 0 here? Hard to find 0. Here we go. Okay, so now let's make it long. You see? How easy it is to understand your algorithm when everything is a slider and a button? We can change the weights. Let's remove the upright cost. See what happens. Let's see if it flips over. You can already see it's kind of a little bit unbalanced. Let's remove the height cost. Still, it kind of manages to run. We can't remove these or it will stop walking. Let's remove the control cost. Oh my God. Okay, I did something bad. I hit reset, it goes back to the, wait, I need to switch it back to trot or something. Ah, hit reset, it also reset the walk speed. Walk speed, walk, go.
Can I ask something?
Yes, sorry.
Sorry.
Go for it, just talk to me.
This is great. So you mentioned that you think one reason predictive sampling works great is that it just cares about staying in a basin.
The basin of attraction, yeah.
So like when we run MPC algorithms, we also don't wait until convergence, right? We do some early stopping and stuff. So what do you think? Like, is it similar or is the conclusion?
Yeah, it's similar, but my point is that we are bringing tanks to a knife fight. Like these clever algorithms that can do quadratic convergence, they are too clever. We don't need them. It depends on what. Sometimes we do need them, yes, of course. But for many things, you don't need them. All you need is to find your way in the right direction, you know, and you'll stay in the basin of attraction. Like actually optimizing, like in the optimization literature, is overkill. What we are doing is overkill. And the way to find out is to have this kind of tool where you can change the algorithm in real time. Hey.
Can you hear me? Yes,
Yeah.
good. Yeah, so fantastic, of course. The curiosity you said, I don't have anyone in deep mind that will do this, and you're sort of suggesting we should go and apply this, and yeah, I think that indeed it should be done. So of course I have two things that in my mind. One is indeed estimation, state estimation, but you can probably use some OptiTrack and figure out where things are. So even really high frequency just to start with. Now the other part of course is that the model is somehow simplified, right? There are no sort of flexibility or things like this, or in the context.
Compare it to the models that we saw today, right?
No, they are comparable. But then the question for me is, do you expect, or the fidelity of the contact force, things like this? What do you think there? I mean, something.
I have two answers for you.
Of course, we should try that. I agree with you, and then you learn out of it. But it will be interesting to understand what is your feeling, right? Because what is your
one answer is do proper system ID, and if you don't know how to do proper system ID, ask me. I will tell you. It's not so hard. It's also not so easy. You need to know what you're doing. A lot of people don't know how to do proper SysID, in particular for things like contact, friction. People know how to do, you open the SysID literature, everybody's like, oh, I can SysID the mass because it's a linear in the inverse dynamics. Oh, great, good.
No, but I think there were some good talks.
Yeah, no. There was some good stuff. There was some good stuff. But in general, people don't know how to do the SysID to the really hard stuff.
Yeah, but
like
when you have contact and you impact into stuff, that's what I'm saying. You cannot model everything. That's the point, right? So
you don't need to model everything. You just need to model it well enough.
Okay, yeah, but
So
then that's in an art, right?
That's one answer. The other answer, which by the way can be combined with real-time MPC, is the solution that people, like this is something that the learning people came up with, and it's a very good idea, which is to generate a lot of data with model variations. So you have an envelope, a distribution of models that, you think your model is somewhere within that envelope. You get a lot of data from the whole distribution, and now you train a policy. And now you can run that policy in parallel with this. By the way, remember, especially with something like the sampling method, it's completely compatible with like a neural network policy, right? It's just another rollout.
No.
You can do 10 rollouts from the simulator and 10 rollouts from some policies that you collected. Pick the best one, use that.
But this is definitely more attractive, the fact that you don't have to wait for training, at least for me.
Yeah.
But do I have something else? We can discuss later. Thanks.
Hi.
Yeah.
I have another question.
Sure.
Or maybe first a comment. Your comment about optimality, it reminded me of this discussion between satisficing planners and optimal planners in task planning, where just finding a solution is in most cases good enough compared to finding an optimal solution.
Yeah.
Maybe there's some similar connections here also because bimanual
Oh,
task.
maybe I missed the beginning of the,
Yeah.
What is the similarity?
The similarity, there is an analogy in task planning with satisficing planners versus optimal planners.
Yeah, that's I've never thought of that, but that is a good analogy. Look, I think the difference here is that the key phenomenon in predictive control is that the problem that you are solving is changing.
Yeah.
And it's changing in like a semi-continuous way.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that is kind of the feature. That's why I like the surfing analogy, right? Because are you surfing the same wave that you were surfing 5 seconds ago? Yes and no, right? Because the water is different, everything is different.
I mean, that's related to feedback, right? I mean, if your dynamics is, if there's some uncertainty, that's when you have feedback. Otherwise, you can just roll out your policy without any feedback.
I mean, you say feedback, but like, okay, ILQG actually has feedback. But if I go back to these, let's find another one. Let's go back to the humanoid. Let's go back to the humanoid, right? That was cute. Everybody likes the humanoid. Here, right? So this guy, there is no feedback, right? When you use these sampling methods, so here you can see, you can tell from the smoothness, I'm using the third order splines. But it's just open loop rollouts, there's no feedback. The only feedback is from the replanning. There's no feedback in the rollout. So it's like very implicit feedback.
Maybe your exploration is just much better than ILQG, which is biased towards doing gradient descent.
Maybe that's a way to explain it. I think it's just that the problem is easier than we think. Some problems, not all problems, but this problem is just much easier than you think it is. Yeah. Like finding the slope, the slope of the basin of attraction is a much easier problem than finding the minimum, the true minimum of a basin of attraction. And that's all you need to do. Right? I mean, yeah, so look at this guy. He's never going to like stand straight. I can switch this to ILQG and you'll see he'll stand straight and not move. Like ILQR, right? You get a perfect controller and it doesn't move. This guy will never do that. He'll keep moving around, but do we care? Did you ever look at a person standing straight? Unless they are guarding the Queen of England, they move around. It's not comfortable to stand straight. Like, we don't really need him to stand straight. This is a better solution in some senses. Certainly more human-like. Of course, we can do things to him that I would not do to a human. Look how he does, like all these cute things emerge when you like throw him up in the air. Like, did you see that?
Yeah.
Like he usually finds this kind of motion to do in order to land on his feet. If you give him enough time in the air, almost. Let's do a bit of slowdown, and now you'll see. And oppa! All these cool things emerge just by, and this I just got this by slowing down the simulation to 50%. So I have more time to do my stupid planning. Oi! Almost. That was too hard. Come on. Not even Nadia Comaneci could have done that.
I have another last question.
Yeah.
The bimanual manipulation, for me, it's just shocking that it works.
I know.
Like,
we were also shocked.
Like, can you comment on what's the space in which you roll out these trajectories?
Oh, it's exactly the same thing. I can tell you a little bit about the actuation. So the actuation is, the semantics of the actuation are not the joint space.
Yeah,
it's position-controlled Cartesian space, but projected onto the joints and clamped with the correct limits. So, it's like the control, this is, the alohas, unlike this abstract cartoon, the alohas are well cis-ID'd, and we are well within the joint limits of the thing. So this is actually something that the joints can do. And the semantics are, for each hand you have, X, Y, Z, and X, Y, Z rotation. So 6 actions for each hand. And then the same thing, just splines with 3 points. That's it.
And the handover that it discovers to perform the handover, that's just shocking because how does it
I can tell you how. I can tell you a little bit how. So one of the things that we figured out is how to write a good grasping cost. And the way we write these grasping costs is by saying, can you see my hand? I want the contact normals to be anti-parallel, right? So this is like parallel grippers, right? So grasping something like this is not good because the contact normals are like this and you're relying on friction. If the contact normals are parallel, that's the definition of a good grasp. And now, add to that I can see the contacts a little bit at a distance. At like 2 centimeters, I see the contact. So when I reach to it, even before I touch, the fingers will go, aha, I'll do this. Okay. And then we multiply the 2 costs so that it is enough that one hand is grasping well. But this hand will not let go, so there is one cost term for grasping, and it is the product of the grasping of the left hand and the right hand. So this hand will not let go before this hand grasps well.